Sam Tejada. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. So it's great for us to come together because we both sort of do a similar thing, wellness podcasters. And you have a great book, How to Win in Modern Wellness.
Yes.
And you know so much. So this is going to be really good. And you also have a vitamin drip company, a wellness company where you guys do so many things. So I'm excited to actually have one done in the podcast and talk about that. So let's hop into it. How's it going?
Fantastic. This is just a wonderful time with the movement that's happening right now. And we're trying to make America healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it needs to get healthy. Things are out of control out there.
It is.
Right. So I want to talk about in this podcast too, a lot of modern hacks because things have gotten so out of control in the world today. I think that these modern hacks can be amazing, like the vitamin drips and things like that. So there's so much to go through, but I want to start first with what got you passionate about health? What got you into this?
So, I'm a retired fireman of 12 years, and I was part of that broken medical system. And it got very frustrating. And truthfully, I have a God-given purpose, which is to help people in the time of need. And I became a firefighter at the age of 20. I retired when I was 32. I'm 38 now, so that was about 6 years ago. And what ended up happening is, you become a firefighter because you think that you're going to have the most rewarding job being that quote unquote hero.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. That was only about 10% of the phone of the 911 calls.
Wow, that's crazy because you guys go to so many other calls as well. I think a lot of people don't realize that. That's only about 10%.
Yeah, like 10% were extricating somebody out of a vehicle, running into a fire. But 90% of those calls were truly the medical emergencies. Which, when you work for a municipality, people get to know you in those communities because you're there. That's the territory that you run. So, you go to the grocery store, people know me as Fireman Sam. So the same way they get to know me, I get to know the residents in that city as well, too. So when you get that first 911 call, you get to know that person who had, let's say, shortness of breath or some kind of cardiovascular dysrhythmia. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you get that call again. And you take them to where the experts are at, the ER. And then all of a sudden you get that 911 call every other month, then every single month, then every other week, then every single week. And you see this patient's health just circle down the drain. And for me, I started questioning this. Something's not right. We keep on taking this person to the hospital. All you do is you see them get tons of more medication, and their health doesn't get better. And, like most firemen, we have part-time gigs on our days off because we work 24 hours on and we're off for 48 hours. I started working with a company called 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆, which they were one of the pioneers in functional medicine. So I started learning a whole different side of medicine on my days off from the fire department. And that's where, one thing led to another. And I said, you know what? I can't be part of this broken medical system. I need to be focused on more of that proactive, preventative approach to a person's health and wellness.
Yeah, amazing. And okay, so you also have a company where you guys do all this wellness stuff. Is that when you started that? And then you were like, I want to help more people?
So yeah, about 6 years in to working with 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆 on my days off, I came across this opportunity with some of their clients. Their clients were some of the most affluent people on this globe. So they had homes everywhere, California, Colorado, and then obviously here in Florida. And what I did with 𝒔𝒂𝒗𝒆, I was their blood guy, where I would actually come and get their blood. And a lot of these patients, they kept on telling me about this IV infusion that they would do back in California or Colorado. And they would always tell me their technician was actually an off-duty firefighter paramedic. So once I had like the fifth one tell me about it, I was like, you know what? Let me look into this.
Like the universe is speaking to me. Something's going on here. No way. So then you got into that. Okay. So we're going to do a vitamin drip right now. I'm so excited. I actually haven't had one done in a while.
Okay.
And these are becoming huge. These are so popular. And obviously, I think you do these too, right? You look so healthy. So I can't wait to talk to you more about all your tips and hacks. But what is the purpose of these? What are they good for?
So the IV vitamin infusion, what you're doing is you're getting vitamins, minerals, and amino acids directly into the bloodstream. So you're getting 100% absorption right into your cells. When we take things by mouth, what ends up happening is sometimes a lot of us, we have digestive issues where we don't get that full absorption. And that's why you have to feed yourself a lot of these supplements, not just once a day, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. So the other thing is when we're bypassing the digestive route, we also have the ability to go to higher doses. So I'll give you an example. Vitamin C. If you take more than about 3,000 milligrams at once, you can start getting irritated in your digestive route. So you can get nauseated, diarrhea. intravenously, we can go up to 100,000 milligrams. Big difference. 3,000.
Wow.
Now, 100,000 milligrams is going to be more for like a sick patient,
Mm-hmm.
someone who's undergoing cancer, with some of those cancer therapies like radiation or chemotherapy, or somebody with autoimmune issues, works completely different at a higher dose like that. But a lot of these nutrients here are very beneficial for immune system, a lot of antioxidants. We put glutathione in the IV drips
Yeah,
as
I've heard a
well.
lot about that. So what is that antioxidant? Can you only get that through something like this?
You can. I mean, you could get glutathione through other type of administrations, intramuscular injections, and
Mm-hmm.
also liposomal, which goes through the mucous membranes. But the glutathione, when it goes intravenously, we can go to stronger dosages. So right now, what Eddie's doing is he's starting your IV.
Do you want to squeeze my palm? No? Yeah. Oh.
So the glutathione, your body naturally produces this master antioxidant, right? But as we age, it starts to diminish. And this is just a powerful antioxidant that helps remove a lot of these toxins that we're getting exposed through environment, through food, etc. So when you're getting this here, it's like it's really getting your body optimized to where it needs to be.
Yeah. And what have you seen these do for people?
Oh, I mean, depending what the patient is coming in for, but some people come in just for wellness purposes, where it helps boost up immunity. It also helps give mental focus, clarity as well. It helps skin. When you have these type of antioxidants, you see it reflect on your skin. Some people call it the Kim Kardashian glow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Cool.
But yeah, a lot of benefits from it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, and I saw a really good video you did where you talked about like 5 ways to spring clean in our life. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, where you talked
I
about
do.
different ways, and I love that. So I would love to sort of go over the different ways you think we can cleanse our life, whether it's spring or not, any time of year, and the effect it can have on us.
Well, fortunately, it's still spring right now, right? So yeah, we always talk about spring cleaning our homes, but sometimes we got to spring clean our health, right? And part of that, when we're looking at where we live at home, take a look at how you're storing your food. Some of the things that we lose track of is, we store our food in these plastic containers, and then we even heat up our foods in these plastic containers. Not good, right? Because those chemicals, as they heat up, they'll leach out into the food. And then that's where you start dealing with some of these different chemicals, the forever chemicals. You're dealing with microplastics as well. So my recommendation is going through that and then replacing those containers with glass containers, right? Now, sometimes you see the glass containers, but then you see the plastic lid for it. So,
True. I have those at home.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Having good quality air filters, what you're breathing in is important to your health. So having a good quality HEPA filter that filters out a lot of these different pathogens and stuff that could be in the air is important. The water that you drink, very important as well too. Make sure that's in a glass bottle. If you can get a filtered water a water filtration system where you have the water that's filtered, that's also good as well.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, definitely the air quality in the home is important. I felt something was off in my home, so I got on top of that and then realized there was some mold. So what do you think about when things like that pop up for us, or we've been exposed to a lot of toxins, or we haven't eaten well? Like, what do you think is the best way to start detoxing?
So you brought up mold, and that can have a huge effect on someone's health. That can cause all kinds of issues like neurological dysfunction as well, a sense of feeling fatigue, getting sick often. So that's something that has to be addressed. And the thing is most people, when they go to the general practitioner, the typical allopathic doctor doesn't even test for mold. So they're not even thinking about it. So sometimes you might have some kind of mold toxicity. And what's happening is you start getting treated for something completely different. And you start getting put on medications for something completely different, them thinking that that's what your issue is. So really important for you to take more of that functional approach to really see exactly what could be causing these issues. Now, certain things that you can do to help detoxify the body from a lot of these different toxins, the IV drip is definitely one of them. There's different nutrients in there, from vitamin C, a very powerful antioxidant. You have glutathione.
I feel better already. Like, I'm one of these people, when I do these, I notice the effects like right around now.
Nice.
Already. Yeah.
Some people actually taste it in their mouth too.
Yeah.
Like a little mineral taste when you get in the IV drip. So I'm like you also. When I start doing the IV drip, I get like a little bit more clear vision, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit sharper. I feel a little floaty sometimes too from the B vitamins. But yeah, other type of antioxidants, vitamin E, alpha lipoic acid is good.
Mm-hmm.
There's several other type of nutrients, and then what you eat too. Eating a lot of greens. Greens is very important. Things that are full of your phytonutrients, those things are what's going to help build up that immune system. Those are the most powerful antioxidants. So eating sprouts
Mm-hmm.
are so powerful. And I know you know a
Yeah,
lot
I
about
do. Yeah.
that.
And I just learned to make them from Doug Evans. Do you know Doug?
Yeah, I actually interviewed Doug not too
No
long ago.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
he's best-selling author on sprouts. He's
yeah.
been raw vegan for 26 years and making sprouts is so easy. They're so nutrient dense, right? They're
It
amazing.
is. It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really incredible. And do you do any cleansing or anything like that or?
I do different type of cleanse. Depends what time of the year it is.
Mm-hmm.
I will do a liver cleanse to enhance my liver function. And then sometimes I just do some of my own cleanse, like a juice cleanse as well too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. That's great. And I know other than the food we put in, things I've seen you talk about too is the light on our phone. So I saw you do this filter where you change the filter. You say we should do that at
Yeah.
nighttime, right?
It's about the blue light, right? So, and I don't want people to get it misconstrued that blue light is bad for you. There's a time and place when your body needs the blue light, which is typically first thing in the morning, and then you start to decrease the blue light throughout the day. So what ends up happening is when you get exposed to that blue light, that violet light in the morning, it basically stimulates your body to produce more cortisol, right? Which you need that. That's that stress hormone that gets you
Mm-hmm.
going. But when it's late at night, you don't need that. Your body has to start winding down so it can relax, and then you can go into a nice deep sleep and allow your body to recover, right? We want to get those mitochondria cells performing how they need to perform. So part of that are certain hacks that you can do at home to reduce the blue light exposure. Now, my recommendation is if you can stay off of any of your electronic devices a couple hours before going to sleep, do that.
Do you do that?
I can't do that,
It's
unfortunately.
hard,
I
right?
try, but I
Yeah.
can't. So I do have the hack. I'll show you. So I set it up on the phone for everybody to see. You click it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then
Oh,
it
that's
puts a
great.
red filter.
And so that's way
Yeah.
better for us.
Yeah. So what it does, it basically eliminates the blue light exposure. And what you're getting is the red light. So what ends up happening, and you've probably
Mhm.
seen people wear the biohackers wearing the different colored lenses from yellow to orange to red. And you're supposed to wear those lenses throughout the day, right? Yellow, typically towards the afternoon. Mid-afternoon, you're going to the orange. And then at night, you wear the red. And that really eliminates all of the blue light. And the blue light, you could start getting blue light from your devices, from lights, just like the lights here in the studio.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you a little story behind the blue lights. The casinos were one of the ones that actually figured out what the blue light does. So when you go to like Las Vegas, you got the blue lights everywhere,
Mhm.
right? So what does that do late at night? You're wired,
You're
wide
wired.
awake, ready to gamble, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to Las Vegas, wear some red, cool shaded glasses, and you'll see that you won't want to gamble that much.
Yeah, because it can mess with us, right? In our rhythm, right? Our circadian rhythm in our body.
Yes, correct. So what we want to go is go back to the caveman days of, from the morning until night, right? That's part of your circadian rhythm. From when the sun comes up from and the sun comes down, basically when you wake up till you go to sleep. So if you start feeding yourself all of this artificial blue light at night, it's going to mess with your circadian rhythm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And do you eat in certain hours? Like I know a lot of people only eat during the daylight hours. Are they intermittent fast? Do you do that or no?
Yeah, so I end up cutting certain things out throughout as the day goes. Like I try to stay away from a lot of high glycemic, anything on the
Mhm.
high glycemic index towards later in the evening. Any like a lot of carbs and stuff, I stay away from that. But one thing that I do, and my Aura Ring reminds me of it every single day. It reminds me when when I should start preparing to go to sleep, right? And part of that is making sure that I don't eat at least a couple hours before going to sleep. Because what ends up happening there is that your body becomes too focused on digesting the food. So your heart rate stays elevated. And now you can't even fall asleep or go into that deep sleep. So that your recovery is not where it needs to be. So the Aura Ring will actually tell you the next morning, if that does happen, you'll look at your
Wow.
readiness score, and your readiness score will just be, it'll be very low.
So wow, it's that in depth, this Aura Ring.
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
else does it do? What are the benefits? You like having this ring, obviously.
Yeah, I primarily wear the ring for my sleep data.
Mhm.
I'm really big into making sure I have good sleep data. So when I retired from the fire department, I told myself I'm never waking up to an alarm clock ever again because I truly believe that that kills you. You know,
Mhm.
waking up to something. So I go to sleep when my body tells me to go to sleep. Now I
Yeah.
do prepare my body to go to sleep, but I wake up when my body tells me to wake up.
That's nice.
Now
Perfect.
I only sleep about 5 hours every night.
And you feel refreshed? You feel good?
My sleep data is fantastic. I don't have a midday crash. I do one little cup of coffee in the morning. I do a bulletproof coffee, so
Yeah.
I mix my things in there. And I feel energetic. And again, my body told me to wake up. I didn't wake up on anybody else's timetable.
Wow. Okay. And any other hacks that are a big part of your life? Because you really radiate health. So spill the tea, spill the
Yeah,
secrets.
well, one of the most important things when you're talking about health span, and longevity is you have to move your body. You have to
Mm,
move your body.
so
Yeah.
true. It's so true. That's like the most underrated thing. So many people don't do that. I lost both my parents this year, and unfortunately, my mom was 67, my dad was 74, and they weren't, they didn't move. And I think even obviously you want to eat a good diet too, but I
Right.
think even if people aren't eating great, but they're moving a lot, like even it just helps so much, right? To get moving.
That's true. Nutrition and movement, and you see how I use the word movement and not exercise. Exercising is great, and I
Hmm.
think people should do strength training. But for the listeners that are scared of exercising, don't let exercising be what holds you back. Move your body. If you like to garden, go out and garden for a consistent 20 to 30 minutes. Just keep on moving your body. Do something. Statistically,
Hmm.
it's even showing that if you walk 10,000 steps a day, you don't even have to go to the gym.
No.
Yeah.
And you feel so much better.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
right around when I was taking care of my mom in Canada earlier this year, because she had stage 4 cancer, she was sleeping a lot. And I was like, I can't just sit around like when she's sleeping and feel like, really depressed about this. So I went for walks. I started walking. I was walking 30,000 steps a day. I never felt better in my life. Like the
Wow.
movement just totally transformed me, transformed the situation, makes you just feel so healthy, breathe so well, feel so confident. It just takes away all your problems,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you get that blood flowing,
Yeah.
get a lot of those vital nutrients throughout your body,
Yeah.
with good circulation. It's good for your heart, right? Good for your
Yeah.
organs. You'll just feel more clear-headed as well too. You'll have better mental focus throughout the day, especially if you do that walk like first thing in the morning. I always like to actually walk after I eat a meal,
That's the healthiest time for blood sugar
Yeah.
control
Oh
too.
yeah.
Yeah, and you've interviewed so many people in the health and wellness space too. What are a couple of things that come to mind as like the biggest things you've learned from these people, or the biggest shocking things, or great information?
Oh, there's so much.
I know, right?
So I'll tell you, my mentor was Dr. Robert Willix, which Dr. Willix was actually the chief medical officer at Hippocrates for quite a while. He was world renowned. He was a former heart surgeon who decided to leave heart surgery to focus on preventing people from actually being on the operating table. So, he was the chief medical officer of Cenegenics, and that's how I met him. I actually started with Cenegenics when I was 19, right before I started with the fire department. And Dr. Willix, there was 5 things. He was a vegan, and I say was because he passed away right before COVID at the age of 80. But
Hmm.
Dr. Willix, he would always say, eliminate 5 things from your nutrition. And you have to do it for at least 90 days, and you'll see a tremendous change. And he says those 5 things were bread, pasta, potatoes, rice, and alcohol. He says those 5 things cause severe inflammation in your body. Now, there are substitutes for them, right? With bread, you can go with certain type of bread, sprouted bread, like Ezekiel bread. Potatoes, utilize sweet potatoes instead. With rice, go with like cauliflower rice,
Hmm.
Um, the alcohol, unfortunately, there was no substitute for the alcohol. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's no substitute. But
yeah,
life is way better without alcohol.
I agree. I
Yeah. Did
agree.
you ever drink? Did you used to drink? And then,
I did. I
yeah, me
did.
too.
I did drink in my 20s. I partied quite a bit,
Hmm.
hanging out with friends, other firefighters and stuff. And really, you start questioning alcohol. And at the end of the day, it's a toxin, and if we didn't manipulate that alcohol to taste good, we wouldn't drink it,
Hmm.
and I saw a video the other day on social media, and it's a guy who used to be an alcoholic, and and
Hmm.
and he's out of that world now, and he talks about, would you give that alcohol to your pet dog? Would you give it to your plants at home? No, you wouldn't. So why are you
Never.
giving it to yourself?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
It's awful. And any tips for anti-aging? Because I think you've done a lot on that, or you know a lot about that, and you just look so youthful. Like any other tips for
Yeah.
that?
So with age management, one of the things that you want to focus on is we're very quick, especially here in Miami, very quick to want to go to a med spa or plastic surgeon to be able to have that youthful look. And there's nothing wrong with that. But where it really starts is internally at the cellular level, right? So the first step I tell people is understand your body, right? Look under the hood. Let's go ahead and get some of your own data so we can see what's personalized to you that needs to be fixed and get you within the optimal range. So doing a comprehensive blood analysis, right? Looking at hormones, looking at micronutrients deficiencies, looking at inflammation markers, looking at toxins that can be built up in your body from environment and foods. All of these things, you want to figure out what's happening in your body. We do some of the other diagnostics like a DEXA scan to really look at body composition analysis.
I've heard about that. I want to do one of those. Do you guys do that?
Oh yeah, and I'll invite you in on me.
Yeah, that would
to
be
go through
amazing.
it.
We should go do a video there.
Yeah.
So what does the DEXA scan show? Like, why should we do one of those?
So everyone knows what a regular scale is, but a regular scale, what that does, it tells you total weight. For me, total weight doesn't really tell me much, right? I want to know what that weight is made up of. So I want to know how heavy your bones are. I want to know how much lean mass, muscle you have. I want to know how much subcutaneous fat you have, the adipose fat, which is more of the fluffy fat. And then I also want to know how much visceral fat you have, which is the hard fat that lines your organs, which if you have a high percentage of that, that's indicative of cardiovascular disease, diabetes. So when you do a DEXA scan, which historically a DEXA scan has been known for bone density, women above the age of 40 who might have osteoporosis. But what we're doing with that, we're not just looking at bone density, we're actually looking at total body composition analysis, right? Even everything from intracellular water, extracellular water, we get to see all of that.
Wow.
So now at that point, we have the ability, any program that we put you on, or if we're working on your physique, your exercise or nutrition, we have the ability to trend it to see exactly how things go as we go through your program.
Cool. And do you guys do like biological age stuff too?
We do, and we have a few different devices for that, including genetic testing. We do a test with a company called Pinoy, which does the VO2 max, where we're looking at cardiovascular function, we're looking at pulmonary function, and then also cellular function. And that test, a lot of people probably have seen it before. You're on a stationary bike, right, with a mask over your face, and then it puts you through strenuous exercise. And at that point, we can see your endurance levels, and we can see, how your heart is working throughout that process. And then we do another test called the RMR test, RMR, that stands for resting metabolic rate. So what we're doing is we're seeing how many calories your body's burning at a rested, fasted state. So what can we do with that information? Once I have that information, I can go ahead and tailor your daily intake when you're eating on how many macros and micros you have to intake to accomplish whatever goals we're trying to accomplish.
See, it's great we have all these tools now, right? Then we can truly live our best life. Like, it's really incredible.
Yeah. That data is powerful, right? Because now it's not something that's just like subjective that, that we're just kind of playing the guess game. Like, we have real data personalized to you where I can show you if this is working or not.
Amazing. And what do you think about hydrogen water?
I do it.
Me too. I love it. I think it's amazing, right? Which one do you drink?
I have the Echo one.
Me
the
too.
new
Same here.
Yeah,
it's so nice. I'll link it down below if you guys want it. I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was using another one, but the bottle kept breaking. So then I tried Echo and it's great. I had him on, Dr. Paul. He's amazing.
He's the founder, right? Yeah. He's coming on mine in a couple weeks.
He's incredible. His podcast did well. I'll put it below. And he knows a lot about water and he's really passionate. It's really good.
Yeah. No, and my story was the same. I had a different hydrogen water bottle, and it kept on breaking. I was just like, you know what? The person who triggered it was Gary Brecka. He was always representing. I was like, and I went on there and I saw the one that he was representing, and then I saw that they had the new one, the flask, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It connects to your phone and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. And do you think as we take on all these things, like not necessarily the hydrogen water, but we start taking care of our health, living a healthier life inside and out, do you think that affects our finances? Do you think there's a connection there?
I do. I think in the long term, you're going to save, right? Taking care of your health, because things can get very expensive when you don't take care of your health.
Especially in America.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But,
Mhm.
one of the things coming from the inner city myself,
Yeah.
and one of the things that myself and my two partners, which are, I'm from Dominican Republic, my two partners are African American, is our goal is to bring a lot of these biohacking and functional medicine modalities to the other communities that haven't had access, right? And those are the communities that we come from. And one of the things, like when I go on the news and start talking about a lot of these different services and modalities, I said, well, isn't this stuff too expensive? But in all reality, the first step to take care of your health is just really having knowledge, right? Knowing what to eat, what not to eat, how to move your body, what are the best things to do throughout the day. And all of that stuff is free. And that's actually why I launched my podcast. I launched my podcast to be able to share a lot of this information from experts like yourself, myself, and many others around the world, to get that information out to the masses and be able to really give them the tools to start taking care of their health.
Yeah. And like I said before, you've learned so much too through your whole journey, through your own life. If you could only leave behind like three things, the three biggest things you've learned about health, what would that be?
Nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
exercise, and data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. And any other hacks, like any other hacks we should know about? Because I'm not big on the hacking scene, and I need to get this ring. I need to start getting that filter on my phone. How do we get that filter?
Oh, so that filter, I have a tutorial.
Okay.
I'll share the link so you can share it with
Okay,
the
good.
viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
But I did a whole tutorial, and I'll send it over to you. It's a whole nice video that shows you how to go on your settings and set up that filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And any other hacks we should know about that are worth getting into?
Yeah, I mean, so I'd say a lot of the other hacks come once you have the personal data. I'm not the kind of person who supplements just to supplement,
Mhm.
right? But there are certain things, like I'm really big into cognitive health. So I like my brain to be sharp as a tack. So there's a lot of things that I do for cognitive health. Like one of the things I do is I take Dave Asprey's MCT oil. He has it's called a C8 MCT oil, which is his brain octane oil. It gets your brain, the ketones firing off, and you feel it. I put it in my coffee every single morning. There's other supplements that I take, like NAD, which we do that intravenously as well too. They call it the brain reboot. And then I also do a nasal spray, which this is one that Dr. Willicks got me on, this nasal spray. And the nasal spray has a few ingredients in it. It has NR, which is the precursor to NAD. So it opens up the pathways for NAD to do what it needs in the brain. And then it has the methylated version of B12. And then it also has what's called synapsins. So, which that has been actually studied to be utilized on patients with like traumatic brain injury, and with positive results for patients with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. And it's all natural. These are all natural ingredients that are in there. And when I first started taking it, I remember Dr. Willicks, he told me, he says, oh, because I saw him writing the prescription for some of his very like top CEOs. He says, well, I know these guys. I said, well, Doc, what is that? He says, well, if I tell you, you're going to have to start using it. And I found out it was all natural ingredients. Oh, this is the other ingredient that I forgot. It has RG3.
Okay.
So RG3 is the most potent extract, pharmaceutical grade, of ginseng.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must be powerful.
It's super powerful.
Wow.
So when I first did it, the first time, and this was right before COVID, I did the nasal spray and everything was in high definition. I could hear better, see better, speak better.
No way. Crazy.
And I do it every morning, and every morning everything's just
okay. I need to get this stuff. You got to send me the links. I'll put all this stuff down below.
I definitely will.
That's crazy. And are you mindful too, like as we take care of ourselves, of the relationships you let into your life?
Yes. If the energy is not vibrating at a high frequency, I try to block it. Now, I do consider myself as a guider and a healer. So I do put myself in environments that are probably not the best environments, but I put myself because I know that I can make a change in someone else. Right. So, but part of that is learning how to be able to detoxify a lot of that negative energy that you get exposed to, because you will absorb it. And part of that is
really
doing
like from having like toxic relationships and people around. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with that?
So meditation.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm
even if
big
you
into
have to be around
meditation.
those people, like just doing the meditation Because everything's within, right? There's got to be ways to.
It is. And, I started learning that early on before I started Liquivita. And I started learning that when I worked at the fire department. Because remember, when I worked at the fire department, you get exposed to nothing but everyone's problems. No one calls you when they're having a good time. So, and what happens is when you're working with so many sick people, right? A lot of that negative energy, you will absorb it as the healer. And a lot of doctors, you'll see like a brain surgeon will die from brain cancer, a heart surgeon, and people talk about it all the time. So I do guided meditation. I actually use a device called Brain Tap with Dr. Patrick Porter. He's a PhD, has a lot of science behind his product, and utilizes different frequencies through the different tones and beats. And for me, that guided meditation just really helps me reset my mind.
Wow, I need to get into that.
Yeah.
Amazing. And meditation's done a lot for your life?
Oh,
like it's a game changer? Like you wouldn't be where you are without 100%.
It? Between meditation and breath work, it's so powerful.
Okay. Yeah. And what's one thing you couldn't live without?
One thing I can't live without? That's a good question. There's so many things that are part of it, but I tell you, if I had to pick one biohack that's very important to me, is my brain health. Like, especially, I move around so much. I speak publicly so much. And for me, I have to be sharp as a tack. You know, I'm always in growth mode with the business, national company. And I'm just thinking for the next big thing to help people, right? Because for me, it's not about the money. The money is a side effect of the success. For me, it's about how can we help the most amount of people possible during my lifetime.
I love that. And then you'll just be successful because you have those intentions, Right. And any business advice for somebody watching who wants to be successful like you?
Business advice on that is you have to put your time into it, right? We talk about work-life balance, but in all reality, to be a successful entrepreneur, the work-life balance, it's not there. So this is one of the reasons why a lot of successful entrepreneurs and CEOs do so much biohacking, right? Because they know they're putting a toll on their body. So they do a lot of these things to be able to actually balance things out, detoxify the body. And the same thing as like if someone can't not drink when they go out for a business meeting or something, at minimum, learn what are the nutrients that you can take before and after you go drinking to help detoxify those toxins out of your body.
Yeah, well said. How important do you think it is that we're in our purpose? Do you think that? I think that's huge for our life and for longevity and for health, that we're doing something we love and we're not sort of going to a job that we don't enjoy around coworkers we don't enjoy and all that.
Yeah, that to me, that's extremely important. And one thing I'll say for anyone who's trying to kind of figure out what they want to do for a career or maybe switch a career, you got to find your purpose. People ask me, it's like, Sam, you never, you're always working. You're always doing this. You're always traveling. It's my God-given purpose. I enjoy it. And the way I actually kind of compare it, the analogy is, you have that kid who's like addicted to video games and he's playing his video games. And sometimes he'll lose a couple levels and throw the remote at the screen, but he comes back a few hours later and he's back at those video games because he just loves it. This is my video game. I love it. And I'll have my ups and downs, but this is my purpose. Yeah. And I'm just going to keep at it. I'm big with the Maha movement. I'm moving around with Del Big Tree, a lot of the other big influencers behind the movement. Good. And, it's something that I've always heard a lot of the old timers like Dr. Willix talk about changing the course of medicine and being part of the A4M, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, and working with a lot of functional medicine doctors. I don't think any of them saw it coming this soon. And we're here.
True. Yeah, it's a good time. And what would you say if somebody's watching, but they don't know what their purpose is? How to find it?
You really have to go deep down inside to figure that out. You have to figure out that if money wasn't part of this mix, what would you want to see as a change? What can you contribute to the world, to society, that's going to make you feel fulfilled? And that's something that you just have to figure out. You have to go deep down inside of what is that one thing that's going to move you, right? What is that thing that's going to move you and just make you feel complete?
Well said. And who is somebody that you look up to?
So Dr. Willix was one. My father is definitely a person that I look up to. And You know, I remember as a kid, my two brothers and my sister, we would always want, like Fruit Loops and cereals like that.
Hmm.
And my dad used to always tell us as kids, and mind you, this is coming from Dominican Republic, living in the inner city. My dad used to always give my mom such a hard time for buying any kind of cereal with coloring in it. And
Wow.
fast forward to
He was
today,
smart.
this was over 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I tell my dad now, when I see him, I give him a hard time. Says, Dad, you're right that whole time. Thank God that you would tell mom not to buy any of that. It's like Kool-Aid and stuff. We were not allowed to drink that. My dad used to say that stuff is poisonous. And my dad's a vegetarian. I've never seen him eat meat growing up, and he had his reasonings behind that for many, many years before I was even alive.
So you've always lived kind of healthy then, not like crazy off track.
Yeah, my dad was always big into health, always had us in extracurricular activities, playing sports, karate, exercising. My dad was big into exercising. He was one of the guys that would always be getting the men's fitness, men's health, muscle and fitness magazines. He had a whole gym set up in our basement up north. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so we had basements up there.
Yeah.
And he was just always a huge advocate of health and wellness.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Amazing. Well, this has been incredible. Thanks for coming on. And I want to ask you anything else you want to share for our viewers about how they can live a healthier life or any inspiration before we end things off.
So the most important thing is taking that step, take that leap into taking care of your health, understand your body, right? It doesn't have to be this overwhelming, expensive process, but there's many of us out there that can help you get some of that data, right? Because you don't want it to be reactive. You want to be proactive. Don't wait until you become symptomatic, because sometimes it's too late. And many of us have had friends and family that approach us and says, hey, I was diagnosed with cancer, right? And all of a sudden they tell you stage 4 cancer. And I always say, well, what happened in 1, 2, and 3? Disease hides so well, right? So it's up to us to make sure we take that proactive approach to figure out where our different levels are at and make sure we're within optimal ranges.
Well said. You're right. And like my mom, like I told you, she got diagnosed with stage 4 last September, and then she passed in March. Just 6 months, right? It's crazy.
Right.
And your book looks amazing. I can't wait to read it. So many amazing individuals and thought leaders and wellness in this book. What would you say is one of your favorite parts in this book? Anything that comes to mind?
So I dedicated the book to Dr. Willicks, which he's the guy in the middle on top. But, just hearing it from, the different perspectives of these CEOs of these different companies that offer different services, you'll really kind of see the purpose. Going back to purpose, everyone in that book has a certain purpose. And they're changing a lot of what we talk about when we talk about the course of medicine.
Exactly, which is super important. Okay, I'm excited. Well, this is a bestseller too, so congrats.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And congrats on your company, and you're looking amazing. So keep doing what you're doing. And where can everybody find you too?
So if you Google me, Sam Tejada, you'll see everything that pops up.
Yeah.
But samtejada.com is the website. And then my Instagram channel is Sammy_Tejada. And then I have my podcast, which I'd love to have you on as well,
I'd love to
too.
come on. Your podcast is great.
A Healthy Point of View podcast is the name.
Okay, awesome. I'll link everything down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll put another really good one on the screen right now, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.